Caleb Mitchell believed that the secret to a lasting marriage wasn't found in grand gestures, but in the quiet, everyday moments that built trust and connection. A morning coffee brewed with care, a quick message during a busy workday just to say, "Thinking of you." The comforting question at night, "How was your day?" At 34, Caleb's life was steady and calm. He was a software engineer living in Columbus, Ohio, a man who valued structure, honesty, and emotional stability. What he wanted was simple: a partner who shared his principles, someone who believed that love was something you nurtured daily, not something you performed. Then came Adriana, a 31-year-old graphic designer with an easy charm and a laugh that filled every room. She was magnetic, creative, vibrant, and full of energy that contrasted beautifully with Caleb's calm nature. They met through mutual friends at a summer barbecue, and by the end of that day, Caleb already knew she was different. Their connection was instant. Long drives, mountain weekends, dinners at candlelit restaurants, hours of conversations about life, dreams, and everything in between. With Adriana, everything felt alive. Caleb often caught himself thinking, "This is what it's supposed to feel like." After a year and a half of dating, he took her to Asheville, North Carolina, to a mountain overlook where the sky stretched endlessly above them. With a trembling voice and a hopeful heart, he proposed. She said yes through tears and laughter. It felt like a dream, a storybook moment he'd remember forever. Their wedding was small, intimate, and full of promise. Family, close friends, laughter, vows that spoke of forever. For Caleb, it was the culmination of everything he'd worked for: love, stability, partnership, and for the first few months, married life was exactly what he'd imagined. Shared routines, future plans, soft mornings, peaceful nights. Everything felt right. Until slowly, small cracks began to form. Cracks that Caleb tried desperately to ignore. It started subtly. Just a feeling. Every Sunday morning, Adriana would rise early, make a hurried cup of coffee, and leave the house by 10. She said she was going to visit her grandmother, an 82-year-old woman living on the far side of town who, according to Adriana, was lonely and unwell. Caleb admired her for it, that tenderness, that loyalty. He never questioned it because trust, to him, was sacred. But as the weeks passed, the details began to nag at him. Adriana would return home around 5 or 6 in the evening with a faint tan on her face and shoulders. Strange for someone supposedly spending the day indoors with an elderly woman. When he gently suggested joining her sometime, she'd smile, touch his arm, and say, "Maybe another day." Grandma gets nervous around new people. It was believable. Everything Adriana said always sounded believable. But something inside Caleb began to whisper. Something isn't right. Then one Sunday, while driving through a quiet neighborhood to visit a friend, Caleb saw it. Adriana's silver Honda Civic parked in front of a house he'd never seen before. The same design decal on the back window. Her car. Her license plate. His heart dropped. The neighborhood wasn't anywhere near her grandmother's home. He parked a few houses away and sat there for a full minute, his mind spinning through every possible rational explanation. Maybe she'd stopped to visit a friend. Maybe her grandmother had moved. Maybe he was overthinking. But the uneasy thud in his chest told him otherwise. Caleb got out of the car and approached the house. It was beautiful, well kept, a neat lawn, the faint sound of music drifting from inside. He hesitated, took a breath, and rang the doorbell. A few seconds later, the door opened. Standing there was a young man in swim trunks, dripping wet, hair slicked back, holding a towel. Behind him, through the wide glass doors, Caleb saw Adriana. In a blue bikini he had never seen before, standing near a pool, sunlight glinting off her skin. For a long moment, no one spoke. The world seemed to stop. The man frowned slightly. "Can I help you?" Caleb's voice came out calm, almost too calm. "Yeah, I'm her husband." The man's eyes widened. He stepped back. Adriana turned, froze mid-step, color draining from her face. "Caleb, this isn't—" But Caleb wasn't listening. He looked past her at the wine on the table, the beach towels, the laughter that must have filled the house minutes before. He turned back to the man and asked quietly, "Who are you?" The man hesitated, then sighed. "Tyler, I was her boyfriend before you." The pieces clicked into place. Tyler, the name Adriana had mentioned in passing, the one she said she'd broken up with years ago. And just like that, Caleb's world collapsed. The truth spilled out fast, cruel, and unstoppable. Tyler confessed that he and Adriana had never really ended things, that when she met Caleb, they'd been on a break, but she still loved him. She told Tyler she was marrying Caleb for stability, that he was a good man, someone she could build a future with, even if her heart was elsewhere. Caleb felt as though the ground beneath him had given way. He looked at Adriana, trembling, crying, trying to spin explanations that fell apart before they left her lips. "It's not what it looks like," she said. "We're just friends. I didn't want to tell you because you wouldn't understand." He almost laughed, not from humor but disbelief. "Friends?" She stood there crying, pleading, saying she loved him, that she loved both of them, that she was confused, that she never meant to hurt him. But Caleb saw through it all. He saw not love, but convenience. A woman who wanted to have everything and risked nothing. "You used me," he said quietly. "You married me while you were still with him. You looked me in the eyes every day and lied." Adriana sobbed, reaching for him, but he stepped back. "You don't need to choose," he said. "I'm choosing for both of us." He walked out that door without another word. The sound of his car engine starting was the only closure she'd get. The following days were mechanical. He packed her things, left them neatly in the garage, and called a lawyer. The marriage had lasted only 6 months. No kids, no shared property, just betrayal. In Ohio, infidelity could speed up the divorce process. Caleb provided every detail: addresses, messages, dates. The attorney said it would be quick, and for the first time, Caleb was grateful for something ending fast. When Adriana came to collect her things, she tried to talk. He didn't open the door. She messaged, called, begged. He never replied, because some endings don't need words, only silence. Months passed. Adriana and Tyler tried to continue their relationship, but it quickly fell apart. The secrecy, the thrill of forbidden love, it had been their fuel. Without it, they were just two people who'd built their bond on deception, and deception doesn't last. Caleb, on the other hand, began to heal. Slowly, quietly. He went back to the gym, reconnected with old friends, spent more time with his family. He rediscovered himself, not the man who'd been betrayed, but the man who'd survived it. He realized that betrayal doesn't just destroy trust in others, it tests the trust you have in yourself. And with time, he learned to forgive, not her but himself, for believing in something that was never real. 6 months later, on a gray afternoon, Caleb was at a cafe working on his laptop when Adriana walked in. She looked smaller somehow, her spark dimmed. When she saw him, she hesitated, then approached softly. "Hi, Caleb," she said. He looked up, calm, composed. "Hi, Adriana," she fumbled with her hands. "You look good." "I am good," he replied simply. Her eyes glistened. "I ruined everything, didn't I?" Caleb thought for a moment. "You did," he said, "but not because you threw away something good. You ruined it because you never let it be good. You were never fully here." Tears streamed down her face. "I'm sorry." "I believe you," he said gently, standing. But feeling sorry doesn't change what happened. He left the cafe, not in anger, not in sadness, but in peace. The past no longer had power over him. Outside, the sky was clear. The air was light. And for the first time in a long time, Caleb felt free. Free to start again, to love again, to trust again. But this time with eyes open and a heart that understood its own worth. Thank you for watching. If Caleb's story moved you, remember to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more real stories that remind us sometimes losing someone isn't the end of love. It's the beginning of freedom.